Well, as we continue to honor LGBTQ plus history this month, it's so important for us to remember the deep impact it can also have on our future. So this morning we are joined by Heather Spillman. She is the author of this wonderful book right here. It is called Pride in the Voices. It details several people's coming out stories, and it's really beautiful. You should check this out, absolutely. But she's also doing some more work this month. She has been dedicating all month to teaching people about the historical moments that go on beyond the ones that we regularly hear about. Of course, we hear about the history of Stonewall. We, of course, hear about, and understandably so, the AIDS crisis. Something that you are doing is trying to really fill in those gaps, maybe things that everybody doesn't know. We're going to get to those in just a moment. First, Heather, I'm curious to know, why did you want to do this research in the first place? What sparked your curiosity to know these facts and to know the LGBTQ plus history?
In writing the book, so many more things came up, and I wanted to make sure that the general public could have access to them because it's so important and it's vital history that is not taught.
As you talk about the history, you really put an emphasis that we have to know our history. In fact, you're saying our history is what moves us forward.
True.
Why do you believe that?
Because history can't repeat. And if we don't know the history, then we don't know what to do.
Yeah, so in your research of all of this, was there anything specific that you just found so incredible that you had never heard before?
There were a few things. One of the things I've posted about is how the L, one of the reasons that the L has become the first letter in LGBTQ+, and that is to honor the lesbians who stepped up during the AIDS crisis and organized blood drives and actually went into the hospital rooms when the staff at the hospital wouldn't, just to provide companionship, help feed them, do all that sort of thing. Another thing that I came across is the lavender scare.
Yeah, I'd never actually heard of this before, so you were educating me a little bit about this.
It's an offshoot of the Red Scare in the 50s, and when the Red Scare ended, the lavender scare, being able to fire anybody just for being suspected of being in part of the community, didn't end until 1998, which is so recent. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing in LGBTQ plus history, is so recent.
Yes, exactly. In fact, when we were talking, during the pandemic, a lot of people were talking and calling back to the AIDS crisis and what was happening there. And I think people didn't realize so many people are still alive who lived through that. They are here to tell that history themselves. And it's hard to believe that even I was alive when that was happening. Maybe I didn't hear about it as much, especially not in the news at the time, but it certainly didn't happen all that long ago. And I think, too, to think about a time that the L was not the first letter in that acronym that we all know so well now. What I find interesting is when I research these facts, when I've been turned on to these facts by what you're posting, I learn even more as I go in depth. That's something you would encourage people to do on their own, to start with that one fact, but dig deeper.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so much, and it's so recent history that needs to be known.
Yeah, and where can people maybe go to learn about this history? Of course, you're a great resource for that yourself.
Well, I've been posting a lot on my Pride in the Voices Facebook page, and I use Google a lot and verify facts. And then there's, the center has the Colorado History Project. Right. The Colorado History Museum has a great exhibit right now that focuses on Colorado history called Rainbows and Revolutions. There's a lot of it out there. A lot of the streaming services have a bunch of documentaries on this month.
A lot of places you can go.
Absolutely.
You just got to look for it, but it's so important that we do.
It is.
Heather, thank you so much for sharing some of that insight with us this morning. We appreciate it.